See, most people fail at dropshipping, not because they're lazy or because the market's too competitive. It's because no one's ever told them the things that separate the people doing 1K days, 5K days, or even 10, 20K days, like I'm currently doing myself. Now, this video is for the people who quit just before they get there. Now, I know most people quit because I was almost one of them. 40K down, 8 months in, doing the right things but seeing no results. Now, in this video, I'm going to give you the 5 reasons why people fail, and you can work out which one is holding you back right now. So the first reason why most people actually fail at dropshipping is actually a very common reason among beginners. Now, they go on YouTube, join these free communities, from these gurus online, teaching them about fashion dropshipping, general dropshipping. Now, all of these methods were good, back in 2022, 2023. But in 2026, if you're not building proper brands, proper branded stores, you're never going to get ahead. Now, a lot of these beginners, they're getting into the space thinking that, dropshipping's a scam just because they've been doing these strategies, months on end, maybe wasting ad spend. And to be honest, I was one of them. Now, I was doing 8 months the right thing, but, the strategy was dead. And it wasn't because I was lazy or anything. It was literally because I was doing an outdated strategy. Now, as I said, fashion dropshipping is very outdated. I was doing it for 8 months, doing the right things, but it just never worked for me. A lot of beginners are getting into the space of, let me just do these easy methods. And yeah, it's easy to get set up, but in reality, you never see results. And even if you see results, you're sending bad quality products, your refund rate's 10%. And, you just never even make profit. So it's all just a cycle of people starting out and, they just come back to zero. Or maybe they start out and they don't even see success. Now, that's why it's important to have proper guidance for the right strategy. Now, the second reason why most people fail is actually because they've been sold this dream about organic dropshipping from their favorite guru. The other gurus telling them, don't spend money on ads, you're not going to be profitable, and you have to do organic dropshipping. When in reality, that probably works for about 1 in 1,000 people. And either way, even if it works for you for like a month or 2, it's just going to die out. And if you're not currently testing new ads and stuff, just like with paid ads, then, you're just going to fail. Plus, you have to order in the product. You have to make content for it. All of this stuff costs so much time when, you just run paid ads and it's literally simple. And it's fast as well. You don't need to wait for the product to come to you, 1, 2, 3 weeks even. And then you have to make content. And yeah, that stuff is all just a lie that you've been sold. And to be honest, I feel like a lot of people get sold this lie just because it seems good, it seems easy, organic dropshipping, you don't need to pay for ads. But in reality, if you actually want to sell your product and you're not a brand like Nike, of course you're going to have to run ads. Even the big brands like Nike, they're running ads all the time. Adidas, Starbucks for their coffees, they're running ads all the time. So why someone like you who's doing dropshipping thinks that, you're not going to run ads and you're going to, make flipping millions for free? Like, it just doesn't happen like that. Now, another thing also with people running, fashion dropshipping, they get a product from AliExpress, run some Facebook ads with it with these rubbish ad creatives and think that like Facebook owes them something, that they're going to have to make money out of it. But that's the thing, they're treating ads like a casino. Like, you put $50 in, hopefully you get, 100 back. Realistically, they don't get anything back, or maybe they make a sale. But the thing is about this, there's literally no strategy behind this. If you're not testing validated products, then it's never going to work. Now, with me, all of my products are always validated. Each funnel is always validated. If a product hasn't been running for a certain amount of time with a certain amount of impressions, then we're just not going to test it. Like, we're not going to waste any single penny on an ad or building a funnel that the product's not validated. We don't just go on AliExpress and, test random products and hope it's going to work. Because, as I said, you're just treating Meta like you're going to the casino. You'll be better off actually going to the casino and gambling your money. And that's not me advising that, but that's the honest truth. Now, the thing is why, people make dropshipping seem like a very beginner-friendly model, which it is, but let's talk about the budget side. People say you can start off dropshipping with, like $500 to $1,000. When in reality, that's never going to happen. Yeah, you can, get set up with a Shopify store and stuff, but how are you ever going to have money to run ads and scale with $500, $1,000? Like Shopify payout time starts on, 7 business days. That's 10 calendar days roughly. Like, how the hell are you going to have money to scale? How are you even going to have money to, test a decent amount of products to, even just see that if a market can work or if this product can work with different angles? It's never going to work. So that's why obviously people do flock to, organic dropshipping, because it does sound more beginner friendly, but as I said, it's just never going to work. Now, point number 3, which is actually quite common on people who's done well, but they've gone back to zero, they've gone broke. And it's that they're just taking money out their company too early. Now, I see some people, they make a first 10K month and then they're moving to Bali, Thailand, or buying a flipping Rolex Datejust, thinking that that stuff's going to make them more money. When in reality, like, you can be in your mum's attic. Like, as long as you want it enough, you're going to make the money. All of this thing about, you have to up your living expenses and that's going to make you money. Like, to a certain extent, when you do have enough, okay, yeah, you always, up your lifestyle. But it's not like you upping your lifestyle when you've made your first 10K month, or maybe you've done 2 10K months, is actually going to change anything. Now, the thing is, if you're not making at least, 20, 30K months, you're not going to take money out of your business, because you're going to need to reinvest it, whether that's scaling up your current store, or that's opening another store, that's another company set up. These things cost money. You can't just make 10K one month and take out 7K and leave 3K for the business. Realistically, you don't want to be taking anything more than, 10, 20% maximum of your net profit out of the business. Now, I can even link this back to my current student. He got to 1K days, but his cash flow suffered a bit. And that's because he didn't start with enough money. He's in university, he doesn't have a 9 to 5. So, he had to borrow money from family and so forth. But, you don't want to be in this situation where you have to pick, do I pay my ads? Do I pay my supplier? Do I pay my bills? Like, you have to make sure you have enough cash flow. Now, that's the thing about e-commerce and scaling. Once you actually want to scale and, your payout times are 5, 7 business days, it's going to be hard for you to scale without, $5,000 in the bank. But of course, that isn't needed to necessarily scale to high numbers. But if you want to, test, get to 5K days and stuff, you're going to need some money behind you. So that's why I always advise people, have a 9 to 5, invest in your business. Don't take money out. Yeah, you might have made 5, 10K profit this month, but to be honest, you shouldn't be taking nothing of that out. Maybe 10% of your net profit at the absolute most. But other than that, you need to be reinvesting. You have to have a longer term mindset. If you're just thinking, oh, this month I made this, so let me pull money out, you're thinking very short term. Now, the thing is with dropshippers, they think on a more short term mindset. Oh, what did I make this day or this week or this month? But if you look at a year or 5 years or 10 years, that's how you should be looking at it. Maybe you make 10K this month, but then next month you could do 30. And then the other month you could do 50. But then you could go back down to 20. That's what can happen. But then if you look at it on a 6 month to a year period, you've made a couple 100K in a year, which is really, that's what matters. Now, point 4 is actually very common for people who have joined a free community or who have bought a mentorship before. Now, it's that they have no one to tell them what they're actually doing wrong. Now, I see a lot of these YouTube communities, free Discord communities, and yeah, some of them could be of some value, but, a lot of them aren't as valuable as, per se, a one-to-one mentor. Now, the thing is, I invested 10K in a mentor, and the guy literally had nothing to tell me. I asked him, what do I need to do? What's the secrets? You pay 10K for a mentorship. You want to know exactly all the secrets, what do I need to do to level up? Because at the end of the day, you see these guys doing, 10, 20K days. You're there struggling and you're thinking, is it really that I'm doing the right thing and it's just timing, or is it actually I'm doing the wrong thing? And that was literally the case for my situation. Now, a lot of people have joined these communities or bought that mentorship and it's literally had no value. Like with the mentorship I was in, It was literally just an expensive, useless information for a big price tag. To me, that made no sense. And, it was kind of demotivating because, you pay all this money, you're doing something for so long, and you're just thinking, why are people not giving me the secrets of the business? And, it was demotivating. It didn't make sense. But at the end of the day, I found the right information in the end. Now, even when I was in those communities, people would join Q&As and ask silly questions about, they'll ask questions about testing and stuff like this, when in reality, they was doing the wrong things. Now, my advice is, if you've been doing something for, 3, 6, 9 months, 12 months even, and it's not working, maybe you have to reevaluate. Are you in the right market? Are you doing the right strategy? Is the business model you're doing actually sustainable? Or maybe things are working for you, but your profit margins are 5-10%. Like, if your profit margins aren't at least 17-20%, you don't really have a good business, do you? It's not sustainable. You can't scale on 10% margins. You get a hold and you're already in the red. Now, point 5 and the last point is, people just don't stick at it long enough. Now, in reality, with social media and the scrolling, all of our dopamines have been absolutely fried. People think they're going to get on dropshipping e-commerce and they're going to scale up 5K days in their first month, when in reality, that's never how it goes. And even if it does, you're not going to be able to sustain that volume anyway with basically no knowledge. Now, to get to those numbers, those 5-10K days, it takes a lot longer than people think. It might take 3 months, 6 months, even a year. And the thing is, it can take even longer than that if you don't have the right guidance. Now, in my shoes, I was doing the right thing for 8 months. Well, that I thought was the right thing, but it was what I was taught. And long story short, it was the wrong thing. Wrong strategy, wrong way of doing e-commerce, wrong niche. Everything about it was wrong. Even the testing model, test 5, 10 products a day, just pump out volume. It's like throwing shit at a wall and hoping something sticks. Now, the thing is, of course, there's going to be that one guy in 500 people that get lucky and, hit their first 1K day in a week or 5K days in their first month. But, the one lucky guy isn't the norm. That's like the person winning a lottery. Like, who realistically wins the lottery in their life? Pretty much no one. Now, my current student hit his first 1K day in literally less than 2 weeks. He had literally zero experience with e-commerce. And to be honest, he didn't have the biggest budget. He started with about, $2.5K, $3K even. And the only reason why I was able to get there is because, he had the right systems, the right guidance, and also me in his corner. Now, yeah, he done it in 2 weeks, but for some people, it takes longer. Now, the thing is, people are quitting on month 2 or 3 just before the compound effect actually hits. Now, in business, you're never going to get it straight away. And even if you do, you're always going to have problems along the line. So count it as a blessing for all the hardship and when you're trying and it's not working, because, these things are the things that actually shape you. And eventually, when you do get there, you'll be grateful for all of that stuff. And, for some people, it takes years, but in reality, that's just because literally they had the wrong guidance. If I had the right guidance at the start, I would have been successful in month 2, month 3. Now, the realities of having the right mentor with you is that, you get there 10 times quicker. Now, imagine you find this on YouTube and you try to follow some guru online with what he's teaching you. In reality, how fast is he going to get there? I had a guy reach out to me the other day on my Instagram and he said, I've spent £400 on ads, which is like, $550. And he's had literally no results. And he sent me his store asking for help. And I was just like to him, I don't even know what you're doing. Like, you want me to just guide you, send me your store. Like, it's not even about the store, to be honest. It's about the ads, the way you're doing media buying, your whole funnel, everything. So to be honest, he's just another example of, people trying it themselves and it just doesn't work out. So look, if you've been at this for months and, things aren't working, it's probably one of the 5 things I've just mentioned. But to be honest, it's usually more than one of them. Now, I've spoken about most of these other things in my other YouTube videos in my channel. So if you check my channel, check my other videos, it's literally all there. But if you're at the point where you're done trying to figure things out by yourself and you're trying to scale, I do have a mentorship myself, I guarantee 1K days within 90 days. It's not a course. It's not some, free school community. It's me looking at your ads, your store, your whole funnels, everything. And I provide you with the exact strategy that's helping me do 15K days right now. If that sounds like something you need, there's a link in my bio. Fill out the form. It takes literally 2 minutes and we'll see if you're a right fit. Now, spots are very limited, obviously, because it's literally only me working with you. I don't outsource any coaches because I make sure that the quality is there. A lot of these guys online, they're outsourcing coaches. You don't even see them in their program. You pay them 10K and you never even see them. You never speak to them. But, with me, it's literally me working with you and that's it. So if you're serious, apply now and let's see if this will work.